policy. In apparent response to pressure from Mrs. Young and his supporters, the Prime Minister said last month that China would try to exceed the 6% target and suggested that 9% could be achieved. There's been widespread speculation that Mrs. Young wants to replace Mr. Lee with an more enthusiastic supporter of his reform, possibly early next year, when Mr. Lee's current term of office expires.
James Miles, STJ. Indonesia's main creditors are starting a two-day meeting in Paris today. They're expected to stretch around $4.8 billion in new loans.
Hi, Cons.
What are you doing?
Taking a picture of you.
Hold still, what are you doing?
Huh?
What are you doing before your video camera and me?
Before I was video camera everything else.
Oh! Can you see Barbados?
No, we can't see Barbados, we can't see anywhere.
Yes, we can. The water.
Let's have a look around and see. All we can see is sea.
It's a long way out. We've been traveling from midnight.
Traveling from when?
Well, we started traveling at midnight.
Yeah. And how did you sleep? Talk to the camera. Tell us all about the trip so far.
Well, we were at the theater a long time ago, and we had dinner.
What do we have for dinner?
I didn't know what it's called. Lasagna. Shepherd's pie.
Yeah, you want a ham cutter?
Yes, please.
Shepherd's pie. And you know what?
Hi. Like an interview. Tell us what about it.
Well, then everybody went to bed. They took their sea legs and then they went to bed.
What are sea legs?
The things to help you sleep, and you get those sea legs at sea. And what else did you go? Don't turn off your TV because you don't. Right, then we went to bed.
Everybody? How do we get here then?
Well, then at midnight, Nana, Grandpa, you, and you all said it's good. And then I woke up at maybe 1, and I heard the boat going. I was about to come up. When would you ever believe I just fell asleep again because of my sea legs?
It shall make you sleep.
And then about 3 o'clock I woke up and I came out.
Huh.
And then I stayed for a while. And then when I came out to look to see if I could find Barbados or St Lucia, there were none.
None. Okay.
No.
Goodbye. coast of St Lucia. Kimberly, how about a coming to? Hang on, who are you talking to?
This is St Lucia back over here.
Yeah?
You see it's very rocky.
Rocky?
There's a lot of waves which you might be able to surf on.
I can't hear you, sir.
And where are we going to Morton Bay? We're going to Morton Bay, I think.
Morton Bay?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Rodney Bay.
I keep forgetting names.
That's okay.
And there's a volcano here.
Yeah.
Well, you can't see it because it's up, right up there. You won't be able to see it unless you go driving down there.
Yep. Anything else?
Well,
See that thing up there? That's what?
They got those two fishing rods up there to catch water.
I really thought. Because I'm in a middle of reading. Then you just have to cross the road.
There's me, hopefully.
Then I will.
Are you driving? What? Oh, yeah. God, it's strange. I put them out into the rocks.
Still off the coast of St Lucia. Yeah, come and tell us about it, sir.
Timber's on you should stop reading now.
Stop reading.
Stop reading because we're just nearly coming in. You want to see the entrance. Sit up and take notice, my love.
Please.
Yes, darling. My bag there is full of after nothing else.
Rodney Bay, St Lucia.
this is our new flashy car you can see. But hurry up for one day.
Yeah, what kind of
Very funny though.
car is it?
I think it's a Suzuki.
It's a red Suzuki.
Suzuki, yeah.
Very spotty.
Yes, I say it's very funny. It's actually red, green, and yellow.
Yes.
All around. No other colors except red, green, yellow. Now you might think we had no sense to get this car.
How about the number?
Number is HA7367.
Yep, you got it right.
And it's really sporty.
Have a look at these passengers.
Everybody's in here. Is everybody in?
Have a wind down, man at the wind down the window. And thanks to the passengers.
Certainly not a car we're going to lose. No, hurry.
A road map. Road map.
I see that you want it. I don't think we're going to lose this. I'm positive.
Now in Martinique, you can see just out in the horizon there, Sail Rock, which the British commissioned as a boat at one point and bombed the harbour of all the French ships until the French finally took it back. We're in St Anne's Bay. Church there. Church, the square.
Okay, here we have a picture of Guy. He would have been about early 20s, I think, at this point. I think this was taken in Australia. Yes, maybe it was taken in Italy, in fact. I think it was in Italy. See that thing around his neck? He used to always wear that. This was before he grew a beard. This was in his student days in England. Ah, here we go. Here's Auntie Betty, looking very nice. A nice picture of her. And there is cousin Helen, who's not looking so nice. In fact, she was very ill at that point and had come home to be recuperated at Auntie Betty's. Helen is a nurse and so is Auntie Betty. Another picture at Auntie Betty's, Glenn and Guy both having breakfast. In this corner in the other direction you will see there's Kathy. Just barely see Kathy there. I think this was before Kathy was married, though I'm not real sure about that. The guy's got his horrible pyjamas on that I didn't like. Here's Grandpa at Christmas playing the harmonica, which Kimberly got for her Christmas present. That was in our house in 57 Fifth Avenue. And here is the house, taken before we pulled down the traveller's palm and all the fir trees on the side, and before we did a lot of the extensions. This is a very early picture of the house. A closer view, you'll see the front door and the steps that has now been removed, and just in front of that you can see the trellis, and we also removed that. Also the traveller's palm over here. Took a long time to dig that out, but we finally got it out. And all those trees on the side, just in front of Sam, with his lightsaber, we pulled all those out. And so in fact the front yard looks a lot different now. Oh wow, there's the backyard. That's totally different. Of course we've added the extension onto it. Pulled down the shed at the side. I think we turned that into a garage. Clothesline's gone too. This is when we were travelling up to Cairns. We converted this van into a mobile home. This was in Mackay, this picture was taken. You see our little dinghy on the top and the gas bottle at the back. Sam, myself and Guy did a lot of travelling in this van. Now this is how you run a birthday party. You see that lady up there with the submachine gun? That's how you keep control in a birthday party. That's Kathy's big fat stomach you can see. And there's Glenn, looking thin. Sam's at the head of the table. This was taken in our house in Pigabeen Road. Sam was about 4 years old, Guy, and our puppy called Jones. That window there is the kitchen window. Unfortunately, Jones had a very bad accident not long after that. There's Sammy, Guy and Jones again in the garden path. Now we cut down all those trees trying to get the place livable, and the old miserable Mr. Cuff still said we didn't do any work. This is a picture of Guy's wart up at Pigabeen Road when we lived in the little chalet house, and that was his workshop. Now inside of there was lots and lots of spiders. Very horrible place to be. I never used to go in there. I was too scared. There it is sailing away across the movie. Now I enjoyed living in this house. This was Kathleen Avenue, as I recall. I used to like that veranda a lot. And there's Sammy and Guy sitting on it. That was probably the first house we stayed in when we came to Australia. We had stayed in a flat before that. That was the first house we stayed in. About the same time, Sam would have been about 2 to 3 years old. And there he is sitting in a rock pool at Corumba Beach. Not very happy about it. He had lovely curly blonde locks too. We used to spend a lot of time down there in the rock pools. Here's Sammy even younger, as a wee little baby in his crib, and in the very corner you can see the beginning of the mosquito net that he used to pull down all over him, and bats used to hide inside of it as well. Auntie Betty, cousin Amanda and Gary somewhere in Victoria, enjoying the sunshine. Another picture, Terry, and you can see Amanda there, side on, and over here's Maureen, and I think that's Auntie Rita. I'm pretty sure that's Auntie Rita in the glasses. There's Kathy, cousin Kathy, Auntie Betty, and Uncle Arthur. And down there is Kathy's little boy called Jared. They were at the beach in Mawindila. Two little boys. I don't know who they are. I don't know why we keep that photo. Auntie Betty outside a building. Yeah. Why did we keep that photo? Now this is a nice photo. This is the bush in Australia, lovely and green. You'll see Uncle Arthur, cousin Helen, and that's her boyfriend whom she's going to marry later on this year. So they're finally going to get married, and that's their land that they own up there in the bush. Here's Auntie Betty, Gary, Brenda and Sarah and Aaron at a picnic. Cousin Kathy with David's two children, Anna and Joshua, and that's Jared, her little boy at the front, having a hard time with the boys. There's a beautiful beach scene of Mawindila, and you see them walking up from the beach after a hectic day, enjoying themselves down there. Brenda's house, not a new house, but new to her, because she's just moved in Mount Waverley, and there's the whole family there in front of their window. Auntie Betty took these photos. And Auntie Betty, Maureen and Terry, somewhere down south. Very rare to get a picture of Maureen. Back again, up at the bush, you see another view of the boat. This time they're putting the deck onto the boat with a makeshift hoist and crane that Guy rigged up there. You can just see the roof of the house, and you can see the spider shed. Another view. There's Guy in the back, doing something to his boat. Interior boat, before the deck goes on. That boat was up in the mountains, and we eventually pulled it down to here. And there you see it in front of our house. The house is totally obliterated by the boat. And you see the car that Guy eventually wrecked, broke Saucy's nose. He painted it white, and it looked a lot better when it was white. Unfortunately, it got mashed up and we sold it for $500. There's Earhart's Jeep lowering the boat into the Crumlin Creek. And you can see our little dinghy there on the side. That was a pretty hairy thing to do because we weren't sure. I think this may have been the initial launching of the boat, and we really weren't sure what was going to happen, whether it would sink, float, or do what. We had no idea at this point. But there it is. Hiding behind the pole, you can see Sam and maybe someone else. There's Mummy and Saucy looking like an angel, and Sammy's back. And this is at Christmas. Lots of Christmas wrapping, and she's looking just so cute. This might have been 2 years old. She probably was 1 and nearly 2 years old at this point. 30th birthday, Kimberly. My birthday. I was 30. Kimberly, Sammy, and Guy. And that was a party we had at the Arnold's house, and Mrs. Arnold, otherwise known as Robin Arnold, make that cake. Kimberly! Inside our red car. Grandpa took that photo. There she is, cute as a daisy, trying to drive even at that tender young age. There, same photo at Christmas. Sammy, I think it was really early in the morning, like 5 o'clock, and that's why he's yawning, because he's got this look on his face as if to say, what a fabulous birthday, Christmas I've had. But he's still only half awake. You can see the crèche there sitting on the old fire that we eventually sold. I used to like that little fire. We used to use it too when we lived up the bush. There's Sam and Kimberly. Kimberly looking adorable. And if you move along, you'll see Sammy peering at her on her little yellow sheepskin bunny rug. She used to love that bunny rug. Don't know what happened to that. Here's a picture of the 3 little girls. Kimberly and Renee had just been born. They were only a day old. And there's big Amy in the middle. That's Kimberly. And Amy and Renee. And Amy looks like a big monster compared to those 2 little girls. That was still in the hospital. Here's a birthday party for Renee and Kimberly. It was their first birthday. Sam has got his arm in a sling. And in this photo you can also see Talia and Joel.
On the phone.
How do you stop it?
Sorry.
Oh, look, the Harringtons. And Guy and Sean. This is when we went on our 3-week visit to the Harringtons and met them for the first time. Forgotten their names. What's the boy's name again?
Paul, Betty, David.
David, Betty, yeah. Esther and Debbie. Paul's got a lot bigger since then. And Esther's also, not Esther, Debbie's developed diabetes. So she's had some serious medical problems. Here is Betty, and here is Paul in the market in Fiji. It used to be a great market. You could get things really cheap. The cheapest place I've ever been to buy food. The fish market, and you'll see on the sign up on the other side, it says no Yagona drinking. You weren't allowed to drink Yagona in there. No spitting, no smoking, and the fish had to be guarded. See there? This was up at the ANZ Bank in the middle of Fiji. We'd had travelled for many hours. May have been in a bus and in the back of a truck with David. We were actually going up to the village. Here we are in the village having dinner. Dinner was served extremely late in the day. And no seating, no knives and forks. You all sat around on a blue piece of cotton and ate. By the time you had to eat, you're absolutely starving. This is a guy teaching. On a Monday night, he would do some teaching with 2 other pastors in Lautoka. Mostly Indians attended. In fact, there wasn't a lot of mixing between the Indians and the Fijians. This was just after Christmas, as you can see. Merry Christmas. Emily and Sam putting up Christmas tree decorations. Kimberly was probably about 4 years old, or maybe even 3 years old at this point. Beautiful curly hair at the back. Here's Kimberly and Mummy putting on some more decorations. As you can see, she's a real cutie pie. Gorgeous hair and beautiful big blue eyes. Christmas morning, Kimberly all decked out in red and white. Nana, Grandpa and Sam going through the presents. This is a picture of our house in Kathleen Avenue. The front of it, another traveller's palm. Every house we've been in has had a traveller's palm. There's a gum tree right up the front near the letterbox. And just that yellow tree in the background, you might catch a little bit of the yellow. That was the wattle tree in bloom. Poinsettia is next to the house. And this is a lovely little house, well, in Trinidad. Typical of the sort of shanties they have over there. Cane cutter, Trinidad. More cane cutting photos. This time using a crane to lift the cane onto the trucks. These are old photos, probably 10 years old. More pictures. Same thing. Now this is a good picture. We've had this one enlarged, that's why you can see the lines over it. We had it blown up of that old guy with the yellow mac over his shoulder and the lady in the hat, the straw hat. These are cane cutters in Trinidad. We thought they had a lot of characteristics. Well, no, not characteristics. We thought the guy had a lot of character on his face. So we wanted him blown up, and as you can see, he does. He's a cheeky looking little fellow. Debbie and Esther. Esther closing her eyes at the wrong minute. And Debbie looking very pretty. Same picture, we've seen it already. Fish market. In the market, we've seen it already. A lot of these are doubles.
Take it out, leave nothing there.
Bruce, David, and Guy, and you'll see, yes, where's Sareki? I can't see him. He's not in that photo. But the girl is, and I've forgotten her name, who came up with us. We all travelled on that bus, which was in the town of Singatoka, up to the mountain. And here we are trekking through the bush, just about to cross that river, which wasn't a very slow moving river, it was quite fast, and we had to get across it. And it was deep. Now, as you can see, we're starting to trek through it, a bit like an African safari here. But we got through it, also got very wet, and there's that girl carrying Guy's briefcase. I wish I could remember her name. This is a picture of a lady selling sweet potatoes?
Yeah.
No, cassava. And she's made herself a lovely banana leaf hat. She looks quite attractive. She's outside the market in Singatoka. When we got up to the village, it was extremely wet and muddy. And every time we had to walk inside one of the buildings, it was necessary to wash our feet. So outside each of the thatched houses, there was a bucket of water that you could wash your feet with. And here's a picture of David Harrington washing my feet before I enter the building. See all our shoes lined up outside? Another picture about to cross one of the rivers. Allah. That's her name, Allah. Here we are, we're soaking wet, you can't tell, but it had rained torrentially. We got absolutely soaked, and here we are sitting inside one of the houses waiting to be seen by the chief. And that man that you can't quite see, I'll move it a bit, is Setareki in the corner. He's now passed away. He died of cancer. Setareki's gone to be with the Lord. Over this side there's Bruce, and you see me and Allah in the back there with a little girl. Here we are outside one of the buildings. Allah and myself washing on the line, red hibiscus trees. Beautiful buildings made of thatched grasses. Washing clothes in the river, at the same time cooling off. Didn't have washing machines or electricity up there. Everything was done in the rivers. The village was between two rivers, It was like a little island between two rivers. This is still going there on the way. We'd taken off our good shoes and hung them around our necks so they didn't get destroyed by the water. Coming back now, we had the luxury of having horses. We carried most of the luggage. We still did walking, and it was when we finally got to the river that we had a ride across on the horses. It was a much better trip coming back than going down. It didn't rain either. Here we are coming back on the horse. The young guys, no saddles, rode quite bravely across the river, no fear at all, and they carried us poor scaredy cat Europeans across. Swimming, our daily swimming in the river. Washed your hair in there, had your shower, did your clothes. There's a tyre that some of the children from the village had. They enjoyed floating. Now if you look over on this other side here, you see like a rock and there's a tiny person's head. You can maybe just make it out. Unfortunately, one of the village children drowned under there. There's like a ledge. And one of the children drowned under there that past year when we were in the village. High up in the village near the chief's house, that's the chief's horse. You can see they've laid out clothes there on the ground to dry. Some of the buildings had gone more into the tin and aluminium roof type thing, but it was somewhat hot, a lot hotter than the thatched roof. The middle house there is made out of tin. The rest of the houses are the traditional house called what's it called again? A bure. That's right. I think I'm talking quite loud enough. Horses in the river. We had just crossed this very deep river and all the ladies decided they'd go for a swim. Now no one swims in swimming wear, they all swim in their clothes and they carry on and frolic like little children when they get in the river. You can see Ella there behind me and right behind her you'll see David Harrington. David and Betty have now moved back to Canada and are pastoring a church there in a small town in Canada. More horse riding and river crossing pictures. That guy there was a minister in one of the local churches in Singaturka. I'd say this was breakfast we were having. Cost a lot for this village to feed us, and they did quite a good job with the food considering there was no stoves or fridges. Everything was baked in the ground or in tins. This is preaching and the Sunday service. David Harrington did the preaching. All the people listening rapt to the sermon. Sunday school. This is my little Sunday, well, not really a Sunday school group. It was a group that I had while the seminar was on. And I took care of these children and gave them some Sunday school material. Here I am taking a lesson up in the mountain of the village children. We did a little group there. Couldn't speak any English and I couldn't speak any Fijian, so I had an interpreter. And Ella was my interpreter, and you can see her sitting next to me. She translated everything that I said. Didn't make for a very smooth lesson, however. Some more of the village children clowning around. They used to love singing and guitars. Everyone had a guitar somewhere in the village. And sing, they could sing beautifully. Here we have an Indian house that we visited, and the young girl in this house was just found out she was pregnant. And this way we got some tea in a bowl, a tin bowl, and we also had hot peas for appetizers. On the last day before we left, we went up to the orchid farm. Did we go? Maybe it wasn't. I think it was the Mountain of the Sleeping Giant. Well, anyway, we went up there with the children because the airplane was delayed by a long time. When we finally did get to the airport, we still had to wait 4 or 5 hours before we could get on the plane. We went to the local Mandy and got some Chinese food. This is a picture of the Methodist Church congregation. You see they're all lying there on Fiji mats. And in this corner you'll see this gentleman wearing a dress Sulu, it's called. And people would wear those. As you see, he's got a tie on and a shirt and his dress Sulu and thongs, and that was his standard dress. That was well dressed. The women wore very long dresses, and they'd also wear a dress under that. So it was like 2 dresses they'd be wearing. Very modest people. This is a lovely Indian family in Taviuni. And you see Guy went over there by himself.
Emmanuel and Grace Rubin.
Emmanuel and Grace Rubin, and that's their church that he's standing in front of. Guy seemed to think that they were a lovely couple. This is quite an old photo. It was a Christmas photo we had set up in the Currumbin Bird Sanctuary. Kimberly was probably just 1 year old. And Nan and Sammy, myself and Guy, all patting kangaroos. I like this photo for some reason. Here's a picture of me hang gliding. Let me tell you, never again. Now that's taken just before I crashed, severely damaging myself and my pride, my self-esteem. I said, not me, no more.